Hey guys, TomBoy601, and today we set out to answer a question. Who is the best commander to use on the German battlecruisers? If you're unaware, the German battlecruisers are some of the most consistently highest performing ships at any tier. They are usually at the top or the top quartet of the rankings as far as performance in match goes. And previously, it was kind of just settled. You ran Henry Hyde, one of the event commanders. But now, with this most recent update, the German commander rework, there's a new sheriff in town, but he's been kind of around a while. Ciliax has come into the forefront as of recently because of his rework that gives extensive new skills that benefit these German battlecruisers immensely. The first one is highly educated crew. This takes over what would usually be in the second slot, which would be Porcupine. And in fact, this actually gives you more secondary gun range than Porcupine. 15% when maxed out compared to 12% when using Porcupine. And additionally, it gives you 2 extra damage control charges, which is really nice because, well, you have that limited number on the German battlecruiser, so being able to get more of them is just absolutely perfect. Now, you do lose out on some of the positives that you would receive with Porcupine, specifically the secondary battery, grouping, and dispersion, which is why in this video we are going to be testing secondaries because, well, is Porcupine better than highly educated crew? Is it better to have longer range secondaries or more accurate secondaries? That's what we're going to be testing here in this video today. But before we get into all of that, I want to thank the video sponsor, Babbel. Babbel is a language learning app that teaches you how to speak, read, and listen in new languages. It gives you all the tools you need to have conversations in real-world situations. In addition to app-based lessons, you can also learn through games, podcasts, videos, and even live online classes with top teachers through Babbel Live. Everything is designed to help learners of all levels gain the language skills they need to be comfortable connecting with others. So whether you're looking to master a language or just want to pick up a few phrases for your next vacation overseas, Babbel has something for you. And let me tell you, that's what I'm doing. Personally, as I'm sure you're aware, recently got married. Our honeymoon cruise, it's going to be a Italian coast and Greek Isles cruise. So I've been using Babbel to learn a bit of Italian. If you want to get Babbel, just click the link below. And when you use my link, you will get 60% off. So click the link below and start learning a new language today. So beyond just the Porcupine versus highly educated, there's one other little factor that we are going to be testing today. And that is the other new unique auto Ciliax skill, which is Advanced Schemes. Now, what Advanced Schemes does is it does 2 pretty powerful things. The first one increases your secondary battery shell damage. Cool, it can go up to 6%. The more impressive thing, and the thing that I think is more noteworthy in this skill, is it will boost your secondary's chance to set fire, which is probably the key way they are going to end up doing damage because, of course, secondary batteries, they tend to have a bit smaller of a caliber and therefore aren't exactly able to pen more heavily armored ships. But if you can pepper an enemy ship with enough HE, you do have a chance to set a fire, which can then cause fires and do damage over time. Yay! So how are we going to test this? Well, what I have done is I went into the good old AI. I went through 4 matches. Each time I did not fire the gun. I did not hit the enhanced secondary targeting module. Simply, I drove in and tried to survive as long as possible, only doing damage with my secondary battery. I did that 4 times under the following test circumstances. The first one was a full new Ciliax build, i.e., we are running both highly educated and advanced schemes. I then recorded the number of hits we received for each match, the total damage, and the number of fires that we caused. Then I did 4 more matches, this time with Porcupine and advanced schemes, i.e. the extra fire setting chance, to see if that was the maybe way to go to run this new Ciliax. Help with the accuracy, see if the accuracy is what really helps boost the damage. And then finally, the last set of 4 battles, what I ran was a Porcupine and Firefighter. This was a kind of base bog standard sort of test. I wanted to run it this way so that we had sort of a point to compare good old Hyde against. Building it the same with the same skills that Hyde would have, so we could see what a Hyde build would do secondary wise, and we could kind of then compare all of these numbers against each other to give us an idea of where our secondary battery is, what performance it receives, and whether going with this new Ciliax build is the way to go, or if you should stick with Hyde if you happen to have him. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and go over those numbers. So here are the results as far as the raw data goes. Ciliax, with his 2 new skills of Highly Educated and Advanced Schemas, had a total number of hits of 1,150 for a total damage of 299,124. Ciliax with Porcupine and Advanced Schemes, he had a total of 971 hits and a total damage of 252,119. And finally, Ciliax with Porcupine only had a total number of hits of 1,178 hits and a total damage of 223,043. Cool. So does the 2 new skills automatically win? It had the most numbers. Well, it had the second most hits, but it had the most damage. Does it automatically win? Well, let's go ahead and dive in a bit deeper, because we could take these numbers at face value, but I don't think that tells the full story. Instead, let's go ahead and break certain numbers of these stats down by the average based on the number of hits. So the first thing I wanted to look into is just how effective is the fire starting chance on the secondaries. And it does turn out that with the new Advanced Scheme skill, when we didn't have it equipped, our real world fire setting chance on these guns, or total combined fire setting chance, whatever you want to call it, was 2.2%. Or the other way of looking at that is about every 50 hits, we would get about 1 fire. So, okay, that's kind of the base standard. That's the baseline for Zeton. What happens when we added advanced schemas and it actually boosted the effective chance of setting a fire up to 2.9%? The way I like to think about that, which I'm sure is totally mathematically wrong, but you could bring that expected chance of a fire about every 35 hits with the secondaries. You could expect to see a proc with the fire, which is, let's be clear, a very significant improvement, and one that is going to deal dividends and damage, and that's exactly what we saw in the average damage per hit. In fact, the average damage per hit for both the with both tests where Ciliax had advanced schemas was around 260 damage per secondary hit, where Ciliax without the fire setting chance boosted was only 189, meaning that that advanced schemas perk is definitely one that pays dividends. Cool, great. What else can we draw from these conclusions? Well, the total number of hits over using either Highly Educated Crew or Porcupine was a bit of a mixed bag, right? When we used it with both Highly Educated and Advanced Schemas, we saw 1,150 hits. When we used with Ciliax with just Porcupine, we saw 1,178 hits. So we're seeing in the ballpark of around the same number of hits, but I think the effectiveness definitely goes up when using Highly Educated, and that's because of other factors, and that's mainly because of those other traits. So if it was just a range thing, I think you would have a better result overall with the slightly shorter range, more accurate shots of Porcupine. However, because you get those additional damage control parties, I think you have to factor that in. And if you want to run Ciliax, I think that's the way you should run it. Highly Educated Crew and Advanced Schemes. And I think this brings us back, or brings us to our final point. if you have Hyde and if you have Ciliax, which one are you going to choose? And honestly, I think it's about a draw between them. I think they both have very good skills now, which is great because once again, going back to what I've been saying about this rework is they've done a very good job incentivizing players to use the base commanders. And in this case, I'm going to start, really trying out Ciliax. I've pumped a good chunk of new accommodations and things into him to get him back ranked up because I don't think you can kind of look past the fact of getting those extra damage control parties, still being able to maintain your max number of heals with Master Mechanic, and having more effective secondaries. It's made there to be an actual difficult choice to be made, where both of them I think are incredibly viable. So if you're a free-to-play player, I don't think you have to feel bad anymore about getting Hyde. I think Hyde is a nice novelty. I still think Hyde is probably better on the base standard German battleships, but I think you can now also build a Ciliax specifically for your battle cruisers and maybe leave Hyde specifically for your battleships. But that is kind of where I've come down on this. What do you guys think? Are you guys going to start putting your resources into Ciliax? Have you tried him out? How have your success or failures been with that? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you like this video, go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. See ya.